So here we are again, together at last. Not like we haven't been together in a very long time, but when you're so overwhelmed every single day with so much happening, boy, it feels like years. Hi, Laura K., Barb in Ohio, James B., Sandra, wonder why. Mama Rages, thank you very, very much. Nice to see you. I know I shouldn't thank you or don't have to thank you, but I want to. And Dude, and Andrew Cruz and Alicia DeMoss and Christy Hazelwood, Justin Wynn. Oh, Justin, you better stock up now on that raw milk because the FDA is going to come down and, yeah, tie everybody's hands because raw milk is not pasteurized. And we've got the avian flu. So they've been testing the raw milk, and apparently that can be an avenue. You drink that raw milk, and because it's not pasteurized, you get the avian flu transmitted to humans via raw milk. No joke. This is not fun, what we are living, to say the least. Sheepdog Patriot, Julie, and Hypocrites Matrix, Michael Wilson, Rage Against the Machine, Auntie Lamb. Hi. Everybody, hello. Yeah. Look at this. Didn't I show this last night down here in Florida with this huge pulse off the coast of the Keys in Florida? Boom. This is pretty mighty. Well, it's still here. And look at this. Well, we've got this going east, this weather blob right here that has caused quite a bit of damage. They're cranking up more for you in Florida, and you don't need it. If you don't know what's been happening in Florida, I'm going to show you in just a few minutes, but look at this. So this traveling east, right? Yep. And this traveling west. Wow, a line of supercell nanobots opening up for you for more severe weather. And we also have a very interesting site here in Iowa. Zip, and then bring it on, Iowa. Very severe weather right on the border of Nebraska and Iowa. Hail, tornadic activity, and look at these frequencies that set it off. Let me stop. Okay, so there it is. Now, voila, you got nothing. Now, this is a 3-hour loop. That's it. 3-hour loop. The images. You see, it's a frequency right here. A little tiny blip of precipitation begins in Nebraska, heading over the border. Oh, little tiny supercell action going. Oh, what's going on here? Nanobots. Ah, frequency hit to this, which intensifies it. There you go. You get a frequency hit right in here. If you look very closely, you can see the very defined line right here. There you go. Bring it on. Bring it on. The extremely low frequency hit to this right on the border of Iowa and Nebraska. And boom, it gets bigger. and bigger. Another frequency hit right here. Oh, well, that may have, I don't know. Nope, we've got the frequency hit. You can see it growing via the frequencies. The frequencies are still activated in this so-called weather, and they just intensify it. That white or gray in the middle is an indication of hail. Look at all of the frequencies in this thing. This has been electrified. So, and now more supercells in Nebraska. But what do we have up here? We've got an awful lot of supercell tornadic activity up here in Minnesota. And boy, it just never stops, right? Yeah. So I will refresh this just to see if, no, they have not expired. So the red triangle are the tornado warnings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 you got going in Minnesota. And you got in Stearns, Minnesota, 20 miles southwest of Little Falls, located near Holdingford. You've got Morrison, located near Camp Ripley, 6 miles northeast of Little Falls. You've got one at Kitson, Minnesota, located over Robin, 16 miles northeast of Grafton. You have one at Aiken, Carlton, which is located near Tamarack, 11 miles east of Big Sandy Lake. And another one, Crow Wing, which is near Cuyuna Country State Park, or 16 miles northeast of Brainerd. Yes, they're back in action. They're back in action, and they are doing a lot of destruction. So let's check it out. This is southern Florida. Receives record rainfall, flash flooding in a 500 to 1,000 year event. Now, if I wanted to show my face, you would see somebody with a face that expresses, incredulity. How many 500 to 1,000 year events have taken place? So let's check it out.
Extreme weather in Florida, where a month's worth of rain is expected to fall in the next few days. There's already flooding in Gulf Coast cities like Tampa and Sarasota. The rain is also causing major travel delays. Manuel Bojorquez has more from Fort Myers.
Record-breaking rain swept through the streets of Sarasota into Tuesday night after storms dumped more than 6 inches of rain, the most the area has seen in a day in more than 8 decades.
Pouring down, raining, and everything was flooded,
leaving many cars stranded in the water. Deshaun Poe came to his sister's rescue and helped her push her car to a nearby parking lot.
We got it out, thank God. I couldn't see, rain was in my eye.
A similar scene an hour north in Tampa, where these men helped free another driver stuck in the flooding.
She was an old lady. We helped her steer out of traffic and get into the parking lot where she'll be safer.
Floodwaters engulfed some vehicles, like this one, half submerged in a ditch on the side of the road. Rain totals there reached between 2 and 4 inches in just a few hours Tuesday. The treacherous weather meant more than 600 delays and cancellations at Miami International, the busiest airport in the state.
Well, we were on time, and now we are sitting and waiting.
The rain is a relief to some after the hottest May in Florida's history led to droughts throughout the central and southern parts of the state.
I hate to say, but tropical storms do help. I mean, everybody's got green grass today because it's rained in the last couple of days, but it was looking pretty bad out here.
As we await the next round of storms, the Fort Myers area has already received nearly 4 inches of rain in the last.
Oh, wow. Don't you wish Americans would just begin to question what the hell is going on here? Maybe the drainage system is being shut down. Maybe it's being reversed to pump up a lot of this flooding that people are having to suffer. Don't you wish that Americans would just do a little bit of research on weather modification geoengineering? Don't you wish? Very frustrating.
Go to Laren Livingston in Hallandale Beach with the situation there. Laren.
As the conditions worsen, the situation worsens, of course. We just came across this mobile home park and a couple of residents who are wading through now thigh-high, almost waist-high deep water in some parts as the roadway kind of courses out of here. You can see the water has already reached some of their doors. In fact, we just encountered a woman and her daughter and their dog. She says for the last 3 hours, they've just been watching the water rise and rise and rise and rise inside of their mobile home. And they had a kiddie pool. She had a bag of what she said were clothes and some of her important documents. And of course, she had her dog on the leash. They trudged out of here and they're crossing the street here, Federal Highway, to go over to Gulfstream, she says, because that's where she works. And so she just felt like it would be a lot safer and hopefully a lot drier on that side of the roadway. But this is Federal Highway, kind of near the border of Hallandale Beach and Aventura. And you can see the roadway just continues to become even more and more waterlogged. Mario's walking a little bit ahead of me. If he pans to the left, you'll see what a number of people have been dealing with. We actually came across a woman who said her SUV is one of the cars here to the left down this roadway that is covered by water. So we've got abandoned cars here. We've got cars underwater here. We've got tow trucks that can't even get to them. There's a truck actually coming down this roadway now. You can see how deep the water is. The headlights of that pickup truck are just above the level of the water. How they're getting through right now, I do not know. If they'll get through right now, I do not know. But of course, traffic continues to course down Federal Highway, heading south here into Aventura from Hallandale Beach Boulevard. Of course, earlier today, we learned that the city closed down its City Hall and Cultural Complex because of the water. In fact, that's what's immediately to the north of me right now. And you can see folks going into this water. Now, I'm not sure if that truck got stuck, but it looks like it's having some trouble getting through now. The rear wheel's kicking up a lot of water in the wake there. So I don't know if that truck is actually driving or if it's floating, but it looks like it's slowly trying to make its way through here. But this rain only got heavier. In fact, there's that woman with the kiddie pool walking back toward the mobile home park there. That's who we spoke with not just a few moments ago, right before we went live here. And like I said, she was concerned. She said, we just kept seeing the water get higher and higher and higher inside the house. She said the dog was getting nervous. We were getting nervous. She said it just made more sense to try to go to a safer place.
Look at this. Look at the amount of flooding. Look at this. And people are not questioning this. They're just, what do they think? Do they think it's climate change? When we have the technology that militaries can use to create this kind of flooding, what the hell? There's going to be a lot of destruction along the coast, the Gulf, and Florida this year. People are going to be losing their homes left and right. Whether it's the economy and they're just going to be priced out due to property taxes, home insurance, flood insurance, or weather warfare. It's here in Miami. So you had the east and you have, well, you had the west, which you just saw, and this is east. Florida, it's Miami.
Yes,
and Fort Lauderdale got hit. Alright, so cars are stuck all over. Near Fort Lauderdale streets flooding amid a day of heavy rain. This is not what we ever lived. To the younger generations, we never saw this. Okay? Yes, there were hurricanes, but there were, and very bad hurricanes. And yes, we had tornadoes in Tornado Alley, but we never saw a rainy day create what we are witnessing today. So something's up. And there are less people in the world, so you would think, and there's hardly any manufacturing going on in the United States. So if you want to believe it's climate change, that's because you're just lazy and you happen to be dangerous. You're a dangerous human being. All you have to do is do some research. All you have to do, is listen to people who know, who are showing you the radar, showing you all of these frequencies. All of that research has been done for you. It really pisses me off.
Torrential downpours creating a flood of trouble here in Fort Lauderdale. We are in the Riverland area. This is in West Fort Lauderdale along Southwest 14th Street. This is an area prone to flooding. I am standing in several inches of flooded street water. You can still see some cars managing to get through this roadway behind me. They are doing ever so slowly. But if you take a look behind, right on Southwest 31st Avenue, there is a man that's stalled out in the street there trying to get out of that main roadway, which appears to be flooding as well. But I want to direct your attention to these side streets, Southwest 14th Street, Southwest 13th Street. These residential neighborhoods have already started to see their streets look really more like rivers than roadways. And as you can see, these folks trying to do their best to walk on sidewalks of homes in this area, this corner house. As you can see, only a few more inches before the water gets into that front door there, before it starts flooding the cars here. So we're going to be in this Riverland area.
Everything's underwater. AccuWeather. Over a foot of rain causes life-threatening flooding. Life-threatening. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. And flood shuts, of course. Roads are blocked off. I-95 in Broward County shut down.
North of Griffin Road. This is just west of the Fort Lauderdale Airport. Specifically here, we're at Southwest 42nd Street and Ravenswood Road. And take a look. This water, it just continues to rise. You know, this hasn't been a downpour throughout the day, but just like we saw yesterday, that rain has been consistent, so it's really starting to add up. And so right now, right during the middle of rush hour, as people are trying to get home, this water is starting to pile up. That's what we're seeing around the Fort Lauderdale Airport as well. Let's take a look at some video of I-95. This is live video, I believe, or video recently within the past few hours, because we know that the southbound lanes of I-95 have been shut down due to stalled out vehicles on the highway.
People need to ask why. Why the drainage systems no longer work. Why? We've had downpours before, and roads didn't look like this. Are you satisfied with an answer like, oh, well, you know, it was overwhelmed? You're just satisfied with that? Americans do not know how thoroughly corrupt is our entire country. All governments, local, state, and federal. You have very evil people in there doing things that are destroying your life. Americans can't wrap their head around that, which is odd as far as I'm concerned. Multiple homes on fire in Phoenix.
Breaking news, multiple mobile homes are on fire right now in Phoenix. We're giving you live images from Sky 12 over the scene near 43rd Avenue and Van Buren there. We do have crews on the ground right now. You can see firefighters putting out the remaining hotspots, but you can see that area is a complete loss. And check out this video Phoenix Fire sent us of the ominous smoke they are dealing with while battling this blaze. No word yet on what sparked this fire or if there were any injuries.
We don't get causes anymore, but it's always multiple homes. It's not just one, like half the home burned up or a room burned up. No, decimated. Spain. This is their airport.
Mallorca Airport in chaos.
Coming right on through, busting through roofs, stores, malls. This is a store? Really? Look at this. Everywhere around our fabulous earth, we see this going on, and people really need to, I don't know. Hey, just keep up your willful ignorance. It seems that that's the hill you're gonna die on. France. Out of control, France on fire, more than 600 hectares blaze.
Wildfire in Vidauban. France scorches hundreds of hectares. A wildfire broke out near Vidauban, France on Tuesday, June 11th, 2024, and has continued to burn into Wednesday. Of land. While firefighters have contained the fire from spreading further, they are still working to extinguish the flames completely.
And may you have some humidity and no wind. Switzerland. Hail is very huge and very, very common now. These hailstorms happening all over the world. Very common.
storm lasted for several hours and produced large hailstones that caused widespread damage. With sizes up to 7 centimeters. The gauging station in Nonade recorded the strongest wind was recorded at Sear at a speed of 90 kilometers per hour. As of 3:30 p.m., about 19,000 lightning strikes had been counted, according to an announcement by SRF Matto on Sunday evening. Thunderstorms will gradually subside in the second half of Monday evening.
Look! Oh, Heavenly Father! Look! Oh my God! Look, Debbie!
And many roofs were damaged by hail. Fortunately, according to reports, no residents were injured due to this natural. The hailstorm.
My God. See those cars? Every window busted out. So Rage Against the Machine. The airport in Denver, you're writing that they removed all the paintings that were once up. But their Freemason time capsule was still there. Very interesting, because the subscriber here had her daughter. Her daughter went on a business trip to Connecticut and had a layover in Denver. And her mother was saying, well, you have a 4-hour layover. So for the 4 hours, you could take a trip around the airport and check out the paintings. And her daughter said she didn't see anything. She had no idea what her mother was talking about. Very interesting. They're gone. Huh. Maybe a lot of people spoke up about it. How sick, how psychopathic those paintings were. Wow. No. There's a horse statue outside named Lucifer? Are you kidding? No. Tell me you're kidding. Huh. So, dozens report illness after visiting Havasupai Falls. This was in the Grand Canyon. A whole lot of people fell sick, pretty much the same symptoms. What is going on?
Experienced hikers hoping for a trip filled with stunning views of Havasu Falls got a mysterious illness instead.
It was not pleasant. Some groups had to leave the canyon by helicopter, unable to hike out. Fox 10's Kenzie Beach spoke with the family, still recovering from their time in Arizona. Kenzie.
Yeah, guys, some of the hikers that we talked to first thought that this was an isolated incident, but it turns out for these experienced backpackers, they weren't the only ones with a very messy situation. The Blair family joined a group of 11 and set out on a once-in-a-lifetime trip to the Grand Canyon to see the Havasu Falls and Creek.
Water is really blue. You don't need a filter.
40 miles in 4 days. The trip was planned years in advance and fell on Arizona's hottest weekend of the year.
So the hike-in was not great. It was getting hot. It was one of the hottest days of the year.
The trip took a turn on the final night as the group was set to make the 10-mile hike out of the canyon, Mary's son getting sick first.
He is throwing up and having diarrhea all night long. I got him in the river. We were in there like, I don't know, midnight, 1 o'clock, just to lower his body temperature.
Unbeknownst to them, more people in the group were getting sick that night. The 2 a.m. wake-up call came quick, and the group had no choice but to try and get to the helicopter pad 2.5 miles away.
This kid is like a 4-star athlete. He's the strongest out of all of us. He was using hiking poles, and he could barely walk.
Getting to the helicopter, they then realized the sickness wasn't isolated to their group.
On the way up, all of us were passing people who are throwing up. That's when I was like, what the heck is going on? And this line is growing. I mean, there's probably 60, 70 people down in line, and there's multiple people throwing up.
It wasn't until they got home to Colorado and realized over 300 people had posted to Facebook experiencing the same symptoms, uncontrollable vomit and diarrhea.
Kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't go back down there again. I've checked off the list. I don't need to do that again.
Now, this wasn't the only group we spoke with. Others I talked to as well said that majority of their group also got sick. They all tell me that some of the conditions were out of the norm of what they typically see. A lot of overcrowding down there in the canyon, close to 400 people in very close quarters, camping near the creek, as well as unsanitary bathroom situations. All of this while dealing with the excessive heat that we've been having.
So you think that they were drinking the water? I don't think all of those people drank the water. When she said you didn't need a filter, I'm not entirely sure that meant that she was just drinking the water straight from the water beds. But wow, yeah, an awful lot of people get very, 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 very sick. Yeah, my mind goes to electromagnetic frequencies. There are mysteries abound. Wow. All right. Very good video. The link is in the chat. This is an analysis of what they're calling the Tracy fire, the Corral fire, that just happened in California. And, well, yes, it's hard to think anything but directed energy weapons. I'm going to play some of this. I mean, it was really very good. And unfortunately, I don't want to screw up where I'm starting this. Let's see if there's... Oh, okay, there's... I wish she had put the name of the man that she has interviewed here, but the name of the title of the video, The Tracy Fire, Climate Change Accident or Intentional?
All right, so what you see here is an area of the fire which is relatively far from the residential houses or even any of the streets that were near Tracy, California. And you can see a portion of grass that's burning, and there's a couple of figures, very small, near the leading edge of that fire. And if you watch them, you can see what they're doing. And it looks as if they are starting a fire. And the firefighters were starting controlled burns. They were doing control lines as fire breaks. But this area of the fire, grass that's burning, and there's a couple of figures, very small, near the leading edge of that fire. And if you watch them, you can see what they're doing. And it looks as if they are starting a fire. And the firefighters were starting controlled burns. They were doing control lines as fire breaks. But this area of the fire is a very unorthodox area for any sort of fire line or control line to act as a fire break. Because as you can see, the wind is actually traveling from west to east. We are looking eastward in this photo, and the wind is blowing towards Tracy, California. So this is actually the southwest, the western edge of the fire. And there's no need to start a controlled burn on this side of the fire because it's traveling the other direction. But as you can see, they're spreading the fire line here. The guy's walking and the fire spreads where he walks. Now, as the camera will eventually zoom out, you're going to see that this is not near a road or near a residential area, and it's not even on the side of the fire that threatens any structures of any kind. So the fact that they're doing a quote-unquote controlled burn in this area is very unorthodox for controlled burn techniques.
And something that makes it unusual that they would start a controlled burn in, first of all, the beginning of what they said fire season. Also, they said that there were very high winds this day. It just doesn't seem like an appropriate time to be doing a controlled burn.
Right. Yeah, the winds were 30 to 60 miles per hour, which is a bad time to be doing a controlled burn. Now, as they zoom out here, you can see that this area is nowhere near, it's not on the side of the fire that's advancing, and it's not on the side of the fire that's near a road or a residential area. So what were they doing burning in that area? It almost just looks like they were just increasing the acreage of the burn scar, if anything. So anyway, so that was the one video I wanted to show you that looked a little bit suspicious as far as the excuse for a controlled burn goes. All right, so now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I want to show an article from MSN. So MSN here reported that the fire broke out Saturday around 2:40 near the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Now, we've heard various reports from the news and from other, agencies and organizations that the fire occurred somewhere between 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock p.m., which is important because the firefighters claim that their controlled burn lasted until around 3 p.m. and that they actually were in the area of the fire until about 3 p.m. So if that puts the firefighters leaving the area at 3 p.m. on Saturday, then they would have been there at the time of the flare-up if that's what happened. All right, so I just wanted to let you guys know that there's an inconsistency with the timing of the beginning of the fire. It could have been as early as 2 o'clock. It could have been as late as 3 o'clock. But the firefighters claim to have stayed there until 3 o'clock p.m. And if they had been there, they should have noticed the flare-up. All right,
So really quick, I just want to point this is coming from the website of the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, and they provide unique capabilities and innovative solutions to stem proliferation of nuclear, chemical, and biological weapons of mass destruction. So that lab develops weapons of mass destruction, as said on their website.
Yes, they do develop nuclear capabilities, but they also develop deterrence and countermeasures for nuclear capabilities, which would also include, I'm not going to say the word, but we all know what can make nuclear weapons obsolete. Anyway, so now that would be actually a great segue into the next thing that I wanted to report on. So this isn't me saying this. This is another expert. His name is Robert Brame. He's a forensic arborist who's been visiting fires for, I guess, 30, 40 years. And he's been to hundreds of fires. And, or at least I think he's been to fires hundreds of times. And he's now visited 41 separate fires, of which he thinks only maybe 3 are natural. So now we're going to we're going to look at his reasons for why this fire might have occurred. And he says that he analyzed the Corral fire near Tracy, California again today. This was his second visit. Fence posts burned mostly where the nails or screws were attached. All vehicles that burned had their windows melted out, aluminum rims melted out, and many eucalyptus trees with leaves just 2 feet from the ground refused to ignite. Also, Brucia or Aleppo pine also refused to ignite. Neighbors' fences 100 feet away that were out of the fire footprint had their fences burned, but only where the nails were attached and nowhere else. He says all pictures are on his best camera and he'll download them tomorrow. He did upload some of those photos today, which we will show. He says it's the same thing that he finds at every aftermath, no different. He uses the D word, and he says polyester cord tires unaffected near the freeway, while steel-belted radials were missing all their rubber. And we also have a photo of that as well. I guess this is the beginning of their fire season, which it actually is. So it was the first day of fire season, and they had a fire.
And
the fire supposedly started. Yeah.
Shane, who is Robert Brame, for those who don't know who that is?
Robert Brame is a forensic arborist, which an arborist is a tree expert. So he's an expert in trees, and he's also an expert in how trees burn. He's visited several fires. He's visited 100 times to like 41 different fires over 30 to 40 years. And so he has a lot of experience in this, and he knows how to tell whether it's a natural fire or something else.
That something else is directed energy weapons. So he does show an awful lot of images, explaining these images as not coming from natural fires, and fences that were burned only around the nails in the fence, which, you know, metal is a conductor of these extreme of electromagnetic frequencies, directed energy weapons. And but yeah, we also saw a whole lot of metal sheds. Now, in the Corral fire, they just said one home was burned and a couple of structures. No one mentioned this. It looks like an industrial park that got hit hard, and their metal buildings got decimated, along with an awful lot of trucks. So I'll put the link in again. He does a very good job of pointing out that no, it's not climate change. It's not because it's dry and hot and windy and something else is going on. And you can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do is have an open mind. But if it's closed off, you're somebody who can't learn. You've given up learning. Open it. So, LA City Council bashed by public as vaccine mandate expires. I will link below because I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's the people that you hear from that, yeah, speak the truth.
Good morning, Council. My name is Jennifer Kennedy. I'm a freedom lawyer, and I represent hundreds of men and women injured by your Ordinance 187134, including Michael McMahon, co-founder of the anti-mandate group Roll Call for Freedom. And as an attorney, I assert their rights today to address this public body, and I speak on their behalf. My comments are their comments. First, it's about time that you ended the stupid and cruel mandate. It's been 2 years, 9 months, and 22 days since this city intentionally and willfully devastated the lives of its dedicated employees. You stripped careers and commands from your LAPD officers and your LAFD firefighters. You took veteran law enforcement and first responders off the line, and you endangered the city of Los Angeles in the name of safety. You stole the livelihoods of these dedicated public servants, and you put your citizens in danger. And you did this after the CDC had already globally admitted that these shots didn't prevent infection or transmission.
General public comment?
Today I ask you, was it worth it? Was it worth it to you all to have your names forever linked with the tyrants who have committed genocide and Holocaust against their own people? Was it worth it? The men on the council, was it worth it that you took the jobs of other men? You took away their ability to provide for their families. For the women on the council, was it worth it? Was it worth taking mothers away from their children, putting single mothers on the streets because they wouldn't submit to your demand? I will tell you, for my clients who said yes to your demand, who accepted the investigational EUA product, serving this city, keeping their job was not worth the damage to their bodies that the spike protein factories did. And to the people who said no, was it worth it to say no to your heresy inquisitions and your medical experiment? Was it worth it for the liberty violations to lose their jobs to stand on principle and faith? And the answer was yes. Not a one of us regrets not taking the shot. It's time to end the mandate, and that day is today.
Thank you.
You notice how these council members Hardly any of them are listening. Hardly any are listening. They don't give a shit. These are psychopaths. Right here. They're all psychopathic.
Next speaker, please. Okay. So
Ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you in regard to the unlawful and immoral dictates concerning an alleged pandemic scandal.
I'll put the link in again. It's 12 minutes and you can listen to the others. But that woman was exactly right. Was it worth it? They could give a shit. How many lives they have destroyed. All right, I will also link below to this video, which was very interesting. Pilots talking about the geoengineering that is taking place. The truth about chemtrails from pilots. It's an hour long, but the information is well worth listening and doubly well worth circulating. So I'm just going to start randomly. You can listen to these pilots. They are unfortunately anonymous. I wish people would begin to have the courage to come out, but you know what happens. People get destroyed.
It's in the grass. We've been speaking to a lot of farmers. Yes. So they have been tested. If you go onto a website that I'll give you initially, it is geoengineeringwatch.org. That's geoengineeringwatch.org. A lot of confirming information can also be found on that website. So we have had many samples tested from various laboratories where they have mass spectrometers, and the main constituents are barium, strontium, aluminium oxide. The first two are carcinogenic. Aluminium oxide promotes Alzheimer's disease, amongst other things. And there are various microplastics, up to 2% uranium, and graphene oxide, which we all know about. These tend to be the basic elements in what they're spraying. The justification for it, they say, and we're talking the New World Order, globalists, etc., is to dim the sun, because it's climate change or whatever they want to call it next week, is to dim the sun and to insidiously poison everything. It is the depopulation program. It all leads back to that. It leads back to the World Health Organization. It leads back to the WEF, the WEF, Davos, and the main players who are sponsoring this are the Bill Gates Foundation and various others. But this is in the Agenda 2030, in the Agenda 2021. It's well documented in the Johns Hopkins University agendas. They are all publicly available. So it essentially does two things. It is to block out the sun and to insidiously poison everything.
And just by blocking out the sun, of course, you're actually depleting the amount of vitamin D that people can receive, and also, of course, prohibiting plants from growing, and if not plants, then animals, and consequently humans.
Precisely, and yes, it's the animals are eating the grass. It's in the grass. We've been speaking to a lot of farmers. As I say, I'm from Belgium, and a lot of the farmers there are reporting all sorts of problems with animals, particularly newborn animals such as lambs. And yes, it's starting to affect everything, and it is insidious. And of course, your doctor, when you have something wrong, they have no idea where it's from.
Yes, and this has been going, we know, from at least the 1940s, but I've had reports that hot air balloons were sort of mucking about with weather testing in the 1880s or something.
Yes, also, it's in the public domain. If people search for this, there are hundreds of geoengineering patents have been applied for by a variety of companies from around the world. And again, it takes a bit of research, but if you do the research, you'll find that the main sponsors for a lot of these companies all go back to the same sources, which is some of the Soros foundations, the Bill Gates foundations, and so on. It gets a little bit more involved because with a lot of the metal particulates in what they're spraying, both at around about 10 to 15,000 feet, the higher level altitude spray that they're doing is mainly contaminants in the fuel. We dismissed that to begin with because we thought the hot section of the engine will just melt everything, but in actual fact what they're putting into the fuel it has a higher melting point of around about 900 degrees, and hot sections of the engines tend to burn at around 700 to 800 degrees. So, but much of these spray applications that you can see aircraft doing actually doesn't go through the fuel. Some of it's in the fuel, a very small amounts, but a lot of it is actually external nozzles. So HARP, which I think everybody has now heard about, there are various sites around the world. This is high frequency, but they're using thousands of watts. So it does affect the ionosphere, and having the metal particulates in the ionosphere already, they can then cause different pressure or heat domes, as they call it, which then manipulates the jet stream, which then picks up more water as it has a longer sea track, and then when they collapse the heat dome, the jet stream then comes over the UK, over Northern Europe, and we have 2 to 3 times the normal rainfall. This is all done by design.
When people look up and
Very good. I highly recommend everybody listen. Here's the link again. And T-Lam, those trails that just come about, you don't see a plane, nanobots activated. Pennsylvania road blocks farmers. Okay. I hope you're all really prepared to... The only food that will be left are foods that are produced by the globalists, by the corporations. They are destroying small farmers any which way they can. Here's another way to destroy them.
But the other thing that this green township is doing, I don't know where this is coming from, but they're requiring the farmers to put up a $12,500 road bond to drive anything more than 20,000 pounds on the roads. And that's basically 10 tons, okay? So people are wondering, you're probably wondering, well, what does that mean? I mean, 20,000 pounds is a lot of weight. Just to give you an idea, I just have a F-250 pickup truck. I go and load it up all the time with crusher run, soil, mulch, and when I go across the way outs, I'm right up there around 9,000 pounds, which is not at all getting up to 10 tons. It's not 20,000 pounds, but that's one truck. If I were to add a trailer with livestock, so right there, that setup puts me pretty close to 10 tons. So the fact is that when you're farming, your equipment, even some of these large livestock trailers and large, 350 trucks pulling the trailers is not that difficult to get up over 10 tons, 20,000 pounds. It's not difficult at all. So suddenly you have, these farmers in this township who are having to pay $12,500 for every mile they drive with that equipment on township roads. A farmer, small farmer in particularly, doesn't just farm the land that they own. They often lease a bunch of land, and so that land could be spread out throughout a community. This is the way it's done around here. It's the way it's done around the entire country. And farmers will transport animals, they'll transport equipment to be able to manage all of that land. So it wouldn't be that difficult for a farmer to be in a position where he's having to manage farm land across 10 miles of township roads or 5 miles of township roads, and just a 5-mile stretch of township roads in Greentown would cost them over $60,000 in bonds.
People can't see through this. People in communities need to stand up to their tyrannical governments. Small farmers don't have that money. But to impose that from out of the blue, what? Because, you know, they're hauling heavy equipment and livestock. Suddenly they're a danger to the roads. Please, smarten up, please. I have posted so many articles and videos on the small farmer getting so screwed, getting destroyed, and we're just witnessing it. We just watch it. Yeah, great. Biosecurity could be brought down by backyard bird keepers. Avian flu. This is Australia, but it's the same. Avian flu has been causing devastation to farms in the United States since late 2023, and now Australia is on high alert with the first human case. Oh no, there's a human case reported in Australia. That means it's another human coming down with this avian flu that apparently has mutated, that gain of function has to come into the mind and beg questions. Okay, but forget it. Australia's biosecurity program has leapt into action with hundreds of thousands of commercial birds culled and monitoring on high alert. But there's still the chance we might miss something, that there's a gap in our armor. And I think that gap could be backyard farms. They're going to shut them down. They're going to shut them down. They're going to shut down gardening. They're going to shut down having backyard chickens. And it's coming faster than anyone could possibly realize. Private farms and backyard coops have the potential to undo our best efforts in biosecurity. If we consider this like COVID, where we enforced nationwide lockdowns to try and contain the spread, but doesn't anybody understand in Australia? Of course, there are people who understand, but not enough. The lockdowns just created an awful lot of harm. The experts have come out already and said the lockdowns were not only unnecessary, but detrimental to people's health, especially children. Okay. I'll link below to this article. You can read it. You know, we're screwed not because we have evil governments. We are screwed because we have a whole lot of people in our countries that don't give a shit. Or are too scared to say anything. Well, you're an adult. You're not a child. And you got to work on getting rid of that fear real fast. What is this? Oh, another food recall. 7 things to know about the FDA's warning about shellfish. Oh, it's a warning. From the Pacific Northwest, destruction of industry. Yeah, this is coming out of Portland, Oregon. It says, the FDA says, consumers should avoid eating shellfish from Oregon and Washington State, as they may be contaminated. They don't know. They're putting out warnings on a maybe. contaminated with toxins that cause paralytic shellfish poisoning. At least 31 people have been sickened in Oregon so far. Here's what to know. Where are the 7 things? What do we know so far? What is paralytic shellfish poisoning? It's a naturally occurring toxin that's produced by algae. Saxitoxin is a neurotoxin, meaning it can damage nerve tissue. Don't put down your cell phones, though. They're completely fine for your nerve tissue. What is causing this? Very large algae blooms. Unprecedented levels of PSP toxins. Okay. The link is in the chat if you want to read it. Oh, wow. Killing off food sources. Duke of moral hazard. Biden agency to hide medical debt from credit reports. I guess now the Biden administration writes the legislation, sends it off to the president, and he signs it, I guess. Who knows? But what we are witnessing is a complete and utter breakdown. No, broke down. Put it in the past tense. It's already happened. Of how the government should be functioning, that's gone. Ban medical debt from credit reports. The rule announced on Tuesday by Kamala Harris and Consumer Financial Protection Bureau Director will improve the ability for millions of Americans to take out more debt to purchase things like homes and cars. Just what Americans need. Just what Americans need. All right, we're so screwed. We are so flippin' screwed. It's amazing. Now, urgent care is looking real shady right now.
So take 2 on this video because it needs to go viral, but urgent cares are becoming one of the most dangerous places in the U.S. healthcare system, and I'm about to tell you why. Hi, my name is Lindsay. I've been a nurse for the last 10 years and a nurse practitioner for the last 5 years, and I'm here to spill the tea. So many urgent cares are going towards a policy, which is that regardless of what medical condition a patient comes in with, that they need to be checked in and triaged and evaluated by the provider, which sounds great in theory, but let me paint you a picture. Say an older gentleman walks in with confusion, slurred speech, and facial drooping on one side. Normally, the front staff would notify me, hey, we think this patient is possibly having a stroke. Can you come and take a look? I would go up to them. I'd say, hey, I'm really concerned for you. Let me call 911 so you can get to the ER and get the care that you need that an urgent care can't provide. But instead, this policy binds a provider's hands. So the nurse practitioner, doctor, or PA who is there at that urgent care is unable to do so. They are now requiring that they are checked in, triaged, and evaluated by them before they're sent to the ER, even though the provider already knows they're going to the ER. The problem is this patient could be sitting there waiting for 30, 40, 50 minutes or longer because that provider may be with another patient doing a laceration repair or an IED, which is completely appropriate and completely treatable in urgent care. But in the meantime, the clock is ticking, and this patient is literally losing minutes on what is the difference between possibly life and death and good outcomes and bad outcomes. And this all stems from the fact that healthcare administrators and their corporate greed has grown so large that they care more about a yacht than they do about caring for patients in the way that they should be cared for. Because this policy is about ensuring that they get the money from that patient going into the urgent care as opposed to the patient being transferred to a place where they can be treated appropriately. So be careful out there, y'all. If you have something like stroke symptoms, chest pain, or severe abdominal pain, please don't waste your time nor give your money to the corporate greedy buzzards who are more interested in filling their pocket than they are helping you and making sure you or your loved one gets the care that they deserve. So take 2.
The whole medical profession has taken a nosedive. And this is very interesting. This I got from T. Lamb. I didn't know that the Department of Defense supplies lunches to our public schools, not the Department of Education that contracts out. No, the Department of Defense contracts out. And I don't know any other country that gives to their children food that does not have any nutrition in it and is crap. Have you ever seen a lunch in an American public school? It is repulsive.
I thought DOD stood for something else, but you're saying it's definitely Department of Defense providing the school lunches.
Yeah.
Who mandates this?
The state and the federal government.
Yeah.
We purchase food items.
Mandates who you buy food from?
Yeah. They give us the funding.
Yeah, because they give us the
They tell
funding
us where
for
to
it.
buy the food.
Yeah.
And then they negotiate the contracts with the providers.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Oh,
We do get some of the stuff that we buy, that already, but there are some money that we have to use for those products and stuff.
So they'll give us hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we can only spend it in their channels.
So when you say their channels, can I ask, are there specific companies that you're allowed to buy through, and are those?
We purchase through DOD. They have their own ordering guide, and we purchase through them. But they work out the contracts throughout the country. Yeah. They work out those contracts, and it varies each year who gets those contracts, but we have no control over that. So if we come across a consistent issue, we can refuse the order. It goes back to them. We get the credit. We can spend it again with them in hopes that the quality is better when it comes back.
Right.
That's what happened with bananas. When you asked about bananas, they were consistently coming in completely green to the point where they would not ripen at all, even after we had kept the case in our warehouse for 2 weeks and it did not ripen. It was starchy and hard, and so we sent all the cases back and then no longer took bananas off the menu entirely because
there's no nutrition in that.
They could not guarantee quality.
And you have no choice but to order them through there. So it's bananas or no bananas.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the thing, Francis, like just today, they have to put it on their plate and they're told, so you just want to eat the tater tots, but you're not going to eat this burger that you hate. And you're like, please just give me the tater tots. They're like, you have to put it on your plate. Otherwise we won't get reimbursed. But no one's tracking the garbage can to see what's actually going in there.
That's true for every public school district. Their nutrition services do bring money in. They're one of the only revenue generating departments for the district.
It seems to me like the people who are on the floor, who are trying to do the right thing for the kids, are in it every day. They're seeing the food, they're preparing the food, and they really want the best thing for all of our kids, which is the same as what we want. Then if the bananas are no good and you guys send those back, then there's no bananas for the kids, and that sucks for you guys and it sucks for us and it sucks for the kids. And in the same respect, if the Department of Defense is supplying the food and they're the ones who are negotiating these contracts with these mega corporations like, General Mills and Nestle, all of these, then they are incentivized to get the lowest quality at the highest, price. So then the more processed, the better for them. So again, it seems like the only options you guys have are the things that are predetermined anyway. And so your options are limited. So then I guess what my main question is, after hearing all of this, what are the actual choices that you guys and us together do have? Like, can we make different recipes, different options, or is this like here's how it is, and so we should do this, or we should send kids to school with their lunches if we don't like it?
Department of Defense. Wow. Well, it sure does seem that our food has been taken over. So this is, I'll post the link if you want to watch the entire video, but apparently something has been found in Pepsi that is not good. The link is in the chat.
So I have my product, which is Pepsi Max. I have my base slide, which is fresh. I'll buff it up, so you believe me, that's completely buffed and new. I've got my cover slide here, clean cover slide. I'll buff that up, make sure there's nothing on it. I have a clean pipette. There's nothing in it, it's brand new. It's just come out of my package. That's a brand new pipette. So now I'm going to open the product. So here we are, Pepsi Max. Let's open this product. Okay. I'm now going to get my product into my pipette. I am now going to put the product, one drop of this product, on my slide. So it's on my slide now. Let's get this out of the way so it's not spilt. So you can see my product. I am now going to put my base slide, my cover slide over this. So that is the product. Excuse my plaster on my finger. It's just that I hurt my hand. And this product is now on the microscope. So now I'm going to take you over to the screen. Okay, so this is the screen from this product here. This is the screen. And I've got it in dark filled. So I've got the sample now going to be viewed in dark filled. So let's focus this in. And let's see what this sample does. So straight away, we have got a huge amount of dots. This has just been put on the slide. So let's see all over the sample what these dots are doing. So these are the dots. These are just like I'm seeing in the blood. They are building together. I'll take the light down slightly so we can see. Let's take the light down slightly. But these are all over the screen. Now, obviously I've not put them there. They're not crystals. These are dots. These are like quantum dots. This is what I like. This is what I see in the blood.
Nanobots.
And then I left this for 10 minutes earlier and these started to build. These started to build into structures. So I'm going to go.
Self-replicating nanobots. It's what we see in the atmosphere as well. All of the nanobots, all of the blips of cloud. No, nanobots activating, and then they come together.
Go over the slide with you. I haven't put this there. Obviously, you've just seen that there are all sorts in this. I don't know what this is. Oh, look at this. I mean, this is, I'm sorry, but this is a fall. This is what I see in the blood. This is a hydrogel ribbon. I haven't put this there. I'm doing this live with you. Let me take the light down a little bit. Right, so that's exactly, if you look back at all my work, that's exactly like I see in the blood. These are all over this product. These are quantum dots. It's everywhere in this product. Everywhere.
Okay, I'm putting the link in again. But if you think what we are eating, what we are drinking, is good for us, I hope that you can catch up and get on the same page. You know, and listening to that woman talk about DOD and the lunches in public schools and bananas. Bananas! That was one of the first produces that they realized that they can put vaccines in. Bananas. So, whistleblower that works for the Whole Foods Market Corporation want to inform Americans about a new policy change. Whole Foods calls this policy change the Code Green Trash Inspections. They claim exists to help prevent waste. So this is what the whistleblower said. We have very poor upper management at Whole Foods Market, which is owned by Amazon, and over the last few years, they've implemented novel processes and procedures that have caused big increases in the amount of food we spoil. Recently, they instructed us to add an extra day of shelf life to most of the items we produce in-house as a way of covering up the problem. This led to us selling stale and sometimes even moldy food. Now they are instructing us to take food out of the trash and put it in our prepared food items that we sell to customers. Oh boy, if true, you can't make this up, baby. This is Whole Foods. And oh boy, they think that they're eating actual whole food.
Our Code Green program has many benefits, including reducing waste and loss. During departmental trash inspections, store leadership may identify items that can be repurposed, like a usable pepper that can be given a second life in a salad. Code Green trash inspections can also show that production or orders should be adjusted to help prevent waste. Our Code Green program has many...
Well, it does seem that it is quite true. Okay. Keep paying those very, very, very high prices at Whole Foods and feel like you're better than all of those shopping at Walmart. You're just being taken. Here we go.
Chemotherapeutic drugs are the only classification of drugs that the prescribing doctor gets a direct cut of. So if your doctor prescribes chemotherapy for you, here's how it goes, more or less. The doctor buys it from the pharmaceutical company for $5,000, sells it to the patient for $12,000, insurance pays $9,000, and the doctor pockets the $4,000 difference. And there ought to be a law. The only reason chemotherapy is used is because doctors make money from it. Period. It doesn't work 97% of the time. If Ford Motor Company made an automobile that exploded 97% of the time, would they still be in business? No. This is the tip of the iceberg of the control that the pharmaceutical industry has on us. When women get together and do a 5K run for breast cancer, all of that money, do you think any of that money goes to nutritional research? Do you think any of that money goes to homeopathic research or acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine or naturopathic research? No. All of it goes to drugs and surgery, which do not work.
Oh boy. Well, I'm going to link below to Dr. Sunil Dehand, who's a doctor. Seriously? Why even bother seeing a doctor?
And internal medicine physician. Welcome to another video. The medical profession is in big trouble. I know I may sound like a broken record on this topic, but I'm going to keep talking about it because I find it personally very sad as well what has happened to doctors and medicine over the last few years. We are so far removed from the original principles of Hippocrates, the traditional art and practice of medicine. It's no longer what it used to be even a couple of decades ago. Many of us have memories of the traditional family doctor who would visit houses with their doctor bag. They would come, they would look at you in the eye, they would care for you and your family. No longer, those days are way in the past. And I want to share with you a recent comment in response to a video of mine, which really sums this up very well. Thank you to whoever commented here. Let me share this with you. Here it is. When you spend your appointment with your doctor sitting on the table, with him sitting across the room, with his head in his laptop asking me questions, you kind of figure out that the doctor isn't that necessary. That is a very sad statement, but how many of you can relate to that? I'm sure millions of people out there can relate to that. What on
I'll put the link in again just in case any of you missed it. You can click on it and hit watch later. But yeah, well, guess what? Doctors will be obsolete. Artificial intelligence is taking over. And yeah, we need to take a break. We need to take a break. And it doesn't say where this is, but my guess it is in Turkey. Teaching a very young child how to love and care for animals. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I wish I lived in a society like Turkey, where the people really take care of the strays, the cats and the dogs. And look at this. Twitter. Your likes are now private. Really? We are making likes private for everyone to better protect your privacy? I can't protect my privacy? Are you flipping kidding me? Everybody thinks Elon Musk is a hero. Liking more posts will make your For You feed better. Oh my God. The control freaks. Out of control. They're out of control. The difference just one person can make. That's only if that one person takes action. So, let me see how quickly I can go through this. So the Bilderberg, the 2024, their agenda, state of artificial intelligence safety, changing faces of biology, climate, future of warfare, geopolitical landscapes, Europe's economic challenges, U.S. economic challenges, U.S. political landscape, Ukraine and the world, Middle East, China, Russia. Oh, that's a big menu. Well, yeah. Well, all right. Right. You know who Stacey Abrams is? That nut job from Georgia who ran for governor twice and lost twice and felt that she's a Democrat, and she said that the race was stolen from her. But Stacey Abrams? Oh my God. You cannot make this up.
Affiliations or companies that she's involved in what she does, you might come to a little bit of a different conclusion. But hey, here's a tinfoil hat speaking. But why don't we just, which will secure that, in the best possible way. That's what they will choose. Now, Stacey Abrams ran.
All right, so he's actually saying that she might be the surprise candidate, that comes from behind the curtain to replace Biden. Stacey Abrams? Are you flipping kidding me? But think about it. That would be perfect. Put in Stacey Abrams to run against Trump. Have Trump lose against Stacey Abrams. Oh boy, this country, the people, Americans will flip the F out.
For governor of Georgia twice. She was a representative in the state of Georgia. She has been a very, very vocal and active voting suppression expert. Now, probably I put that wrong. Now, she claims to be protecting voters' rights. If you look at her background, her affiliations, her companies that she's involved in, what she does, you might come to a little bit of a different conclusion. But hey, here's a tinfoil hat speaking. But why don't we just tune in just for a little bit and see what she's been saying over the years? Just a few sound bites. Clearly not full interviews, just a few sound bites. So let's get to know Stacey Abrams for those of you who've never heard of her or seen her.
Know is that the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, is an attack on democracy. It's an attack on education. It's an attack on how our economy works. Voting is not magic. Voting is medicine.
I would assume, maybe incorrectly, but while abortion is an issue, it nowhere reaches the level of interest of voters in terms of the cost of gas, food, bread, milk, things like that. What can a governor, what could you do as governor to alleviate the concerns of Georgia voters about those livability, daily, hourly issues that they're confronted with?
But let's be clear. Having children is why you're worried about your price for gas. It's why you're concerned about how much food costs. For women, this is not a reductive issue. You can't divorce being forced to carry an unwanted pregnancy from the economic realities of having a child.
There is no such thing as a heartbeat at 6 weeks. It is a manufactured sound designed to convince people that men have the right to take control of a woman's body away from her.
I think President Joe Biden has been an exceptional president. On a range of issues, he has overperformed expectation. He has navigated incredibly difficult circumstances. And he has shown that he is willing to stand with the people of Georgia, with the people of this country, to move the nation forward. But we can't ignore the fact that people's lives are harder. And this is not because of the president. It is because of global issues and international challenges and market conditions and a whole host of things that don't matter to you when you're sitting at your kitchen table.
So just a few sound bites. I believe Stacey Abrams would be the poster child for the Agenda 2030 for 15-minute cities for, as she says, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which are the buzzwords for a new dystopian, totally controlled world order, which is DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is what is going through the corporate world right now. It's what is destroying, by the way, corporations, because nobody wants to have that. Nobody's interested in that. But that's where we're in. But here's the thing. It isn't just that Stacey Abrams was at the Bilderberg meeting that really caught my attention. When I was looking into it a little deeper, I found something that I have overlooked before or just wasn't aware of. And it reminded me of Zelensky. You know, the guy that just bought this $200 million hotel resort. I'm sorry, president of the Ukraine. How could I mix that up? Or comedian, or CIA asset, actor. I forget which one it is. But Zelensky, before he became the president of the Ukraine, was playing the president of the Ukraine in a very successful TV show. Now, what does that have to do with Stacey Abrams? Other than she owns a film production company that doesn't seem to be producing anything yet. Well, in 2022, Stacey Abrams played a president on Star Trek Discovery. But she didn't just play the president of the United States. Let me show you what she played as herself, a cameo. Now, we can't play, for copyright reasons, we can't play the clips, but I'm going to show you some stills while we talk about this. So look at this. This is, I'm going to go back just a little bit here so you know this. See this? United Earth. So this is where she comes out of the ship, and here is President Stacey Abrams, President of United Earth, joining the Galactic Federation as President of United Earth. It was a cameo, which means that she was playing herself. Now, I know this is a little bit of a stretch, but we are entering very, 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 very different and strange territory. So I wouldn't say that it is off limits to discuss whether we're talking about a much, much bigger picture here. For me, it would be a very scary thought to think that the first United Earth president, which of course we all knew that that was the game all along, would be someone like Stacey Abrams. But you have to put all the pieces together that are being kind of pushed at us every day, all day now, if you're looking. So there is Mr. Free Speech, Mr. Electric, Mr. Starship, Mr. Satellite, Mr. SpaceX, Mr. Neuralink, Mr. I post on X every hour. A man that has so much energy and attention span that he can juggle 70,000 projects at the same time, Mr. Elon Musk, who is telling us over and over and over again that humanity must become an interplanetary species, that's the only way. So we have that whole thing.
Oh my God, what am I living? What am I living? What are we living here? Oh, wow, man. Okay, Stacey Abrams was invited to the Bilderberg meeting. She was invited to the something's going on here. And you know what? If she's that secret card for the Democrats and wins, I could see that happening, actually, because we are living this idiocracy that is so dark, unfortunately, that, yeah, okay. Is it a nightmare, you think? Oh, I'd say so. It's a very, very, very dark nightmare. In fact, Michael Schneider wrote Our Apocalyptic New Normal. Most global conflicts since World War II, most billion-dollar disasters ever, and most hungry people in history, and I'll put the link in and you can read it. But we are... Look, you need a society filled with people who are sane, mentally sound, critical thinkers, and we don't have that. This is why we are descending fast into this apocalyptic, new, normal dystopia. Oh my God. All right, I'm going to leave that for tomorrow, but worse than Tiffany Henyard. Another South suburban mayor takes heat from residents. All right, I show this not to bore you, but to show you that there are no local governments anymore that are not filled with corrupted souls.
The South suburban town faces controversy.
Just like we've seen in Dalton, it involves the community protesting against their mayor.
Our Nate Rogers picks up the story from here in Harvey.
There are many issues here in Harvey that residents have brought to our attention. Residents marched from a nearby church right here to the municipal center before tonight's meeting. Several police officers were on hand, some residents calling that an intimidation tactic.
We're just seeking the transparency, participatory governance. We have several questions about the bills list, and if we know what's going on in adjacent communities, we certainly don't want to model those types of things.
Stop holding the license! Leave the churches alone!
Tension in suburban Harvey continues to grow. Residents taking their fight to the street in a peaceful protest.
Where are the licenses?
Finally, outside Harvey's municipal center, residents holding signs. One of them saying, quote, Mayor Clark is worse than Tiffany Henyard. Another one, quote, stop harassing vendors. Business owners saying their licenses are being held up. Residents complaining of a 3% water hike. Pastors outraged after Harvey churches are now required to obtain a business license or their doors threaten to be closed. At least 2 city council members and a packed room of concerned residents are calling for transparency on how village dollars are being spent. The mayor's critics are also asking that his administration be investigated along with his business dealings.
It's unacceptable. You have been elected to serve. You should serve with integrity, not pushing the agenda of the mayor, not pushing the agenda of what he has asked you to do in his office, but I'm expecting people to do what they have been elected to do. And when you get aside from that, then you need to be removed.
But why are you intimidating somebody with a business? How can this happen when we got more policemen here than I've ever seen in a year? Who's paying for all of this? Who's paying for all of this stuff we got going?
When it comes to the money, we just ask for transparency. You're an attorney, you know better.
Now, city council members tell us more than 70 businesses and over 100 churches are impacted by Mayor Chris Clark's latest mandates. We asked to speak to Mayor Clark. I even gave my business card to his chief of staff. We were told no, that he is not available.
Churches have to get a business license, which kind of makes sense, but we all know churches are just exempt from everything and those 501c. Yeah, but really? Wow. So, people in communities, and somehow you got to think of a strategy to get rid of these people immediately. Immediately. They work for you, you should be able to fire them. California's House Speaker targets retail theft, spurns bipartisan Prop 47 reformers. Prop 47. You can steal up to $950 and don't worry about it. Yeah. That was back in 2014. I remember posting on Prop 47, and I can't believe 2014. That's 10 years ago. Okay, well, time flies when you're having fun. But, yeah, voters now are being asked to vote on Prop 47. People are not of sound mind when they allow theft up to $950 and they're just going to claim it's a misdemeanor, go ahead and walk. But you can be a repeat offender of that every day. Yeah. Took you 10 years, Californians?
Are working to fight retail theft in California, but their work might silence the voices of the people. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rochelle Murcia.
And I'm Michael Patterson. In addition to the Sacramento legislation, a bipartisan effort adding felony reforms to a 2014 proposition is gaining steam and is likely to be on the ballot in November. But as Will Silverstein explains, Californians may not have both. Will.
Well, Michael, Rochelle, prosecutor.
All right, I'll put the link in for any Californian who wants to watch this. Look, we've been living in sanity for such a long time. You know, good is bad, bad is good. And just let the criminals run free and the illegal migrants, just let them, release them off into the streets. And yeah, Americans needed to do something. Well, they didn't. So, here we are. Here, Department of Homeland Security warns of heightened threat as eight with suspected ISIS ties arrested.
Alert this morning as 8 suspected terrorists with possible ties to ISIS-K are in federal custody. ICE officials arrested the men from Tajikistan in some of the biggest cities in the country: New York, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. All of them entered through the U.S. through the southern border. News Nation's Alicia Nieves has more from New York City. And Alicia, the FBI has been worried about terrorists slipping through the border chaos for a while now.
Yeah, Anna, this has certainly been a growing concern for many federal authorities, right? In fact, the Department of Homeland Security told us that there has been a growing concern, a growing threat level environment here in the U.S. for the past year for both domestic and foreign terrorism. These latest arrests of non-citizens or migrants with possible ISIS connection only being an illustrative reality of that growing concern. DHS and the FBI in a joint statement actually confirmed with us these arrests just a few hours ago. They said, quote here, over the last few days, ICE agents arrested several non-citizens pursuant to immigration authorities. The actions were carried out in close coordination with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force. They also added the FBI and DHS will continue working around the clock with our partners to identify, investigate, and disrupt potential threats to national security. Now,
we all know those sleeper cells. They're just growing with those military-aged men. Oh boy. Will Americans actually say to themselves, when the violent chaos really kicks in, damn, I wish I had done something? Nope, they won't. 8 ISIS-linked suspects arrested in the U.S. in major sting operation. And in one of these news broadcasts, I hear that all of these men were vetted. They were vetted. Good job of vetting. Yay. Do you think that everything, all institutions, the way they operate, it's just kind of going downhill? And Birmingham gang war claims 4 lives this past weekend. And I just want to say, these gangs are going to start controlling cities.
This your boy Southside Rico, Crestsside TV. Like, comment, and subscribe. We had a busy time in the A this weekend. Montgomery and Birmingham had 7 murders between the 2 major cities within a 30-hour period. Since black on black crime. The police tried to...
Black on black crime. All right, yeah. Guys, things are really not good. A lien for doing what? A lien was put on a man's house by a contractor who never did any work.
At 10 o'clock, he hired a contractor, and he says the contractor didn't do the work, but what he did do is place a lien on his property.
It's a weird mess, and that's why they called, or the call went out, rather, to Help Me Howard with Patrick Frazier.
Ever heard an old-timer say they don't make them like they used to? Anthony's house is proof of that.
It took us 4 hours.
To drill a hole in the wall.
It was solid block.
His home on the Little River in Miami was built in 1938, old by South Florida standards.
It's one of the first built on the river. It's a historical home.
But of course, times change, and being the only house with jalousie windows is not a good thing anymore.
These are the original windows, and they're not very efficient because they're jealousy windows.
Then a contractor said he'd replace the 15 windows, 2 doors, and get Anthony the financing to do the $27,000 job. ASAP, the contractor wrote.
It was May 18, 2022. That's when I signed this contract.
2 years later, as you can see, no new windows. And Anthony says for months, no word from the contractor.
He didn't do anything. I kept calling every single week.
Finally, Anthony went to the company's office.
I want to see the 15 windows and the 2 door entries that supposedly you have already purchased.
Anthony says they wouldn't show them to him. When he found out they had also not pulled a permit a year after he signed up with him, he canceled the contract and canceled the financing.
And this guy still went and put a lien on my property when he's done no work in 2 years.
That's right. 2 years after signing the contract with no permit, no work done, the contractor filed a lien saying Anthony owed them $21,237.
How does this happen? How does it happen? I don't know how it happens. People are out of their minds. Gun pulled during attempted repossession at Kalamazoo Church. Rush hour chaos breaks out, leading to 3 kids, 1 adult, shot on interstate in Houston. Memphis, Tennessee. Bus driver says she was punched in the face by a passenger in Brooklyn. Woman stabbed to death near Port Authority bus terminal. Florida woman 91 beaten and sexually battered. I take responsibility. Pelosi admits fault for the lack of security precautions on January 6. Little late, Nancy. And this. The Russian Navy vessel to dock in Havana, Cuba, insists no threat. And our own government has said, we're watching it, but there's no need for concern. And I don't think there is. I really don't think there is. I don't think Russia is going to do, a surprise attack on the United States. Well, surprise to us. When there hasn't been the kind of attack that Putin has been warning against coming from Europe. So a whole lot of people are on this and I guess concerned. I'm not concerned. But the days of the Cuban Missile Crisis are over. They're over. We don't protect ourselves anymore. Look, Russia has had submarines, I think it was Russia, it could have been China, submarines in the Gulf of Mexico. They're off the Pacific, they're off the Atlantic. I've posted videos on it. Hell, China sends a spy balloon and we don't do anything, and then finally we decide, all right, maybe we should shoot it down into the Atlantic while it's crossing over the United States. And, if it was a spy balloon, they sure did capture a lot of information on our military installations, around the country. Russian warships enter Havana harbor under Washington's watchful eye. Be scared. Be very scared. And Putin also has the role to show the world that he is a man of great patience and he is a man of wisdom, and he wants the fall on the United States and European nations. He doesn't want the backlash should he decide to do something fast. Finland in first NATO deployment parks jets on Russia's doorstep. See this is all, as far as I'm concerned, this is the staged play that we are watching, and Putin is part of it, Russia is part of it, and Finland now All right, so you're right on Russia's doorstep with your, what are they, F-16s or something? F-18 fighter jets, 7 of them. All of it is to show the world that, well, that you're prepared, European nations. The Finnish and Europeans can't see that all of this is provocative, to say the least, Russia. Maybe that's why Putin sent the submarines and, hey, you know, to a friendly nation of theirs, Cuba. It just so happens they're 90 miles off, you know, the coast of Florida. But we Westerners should really get that the staged play is offering you an awful lot of information that it's our fault, not Russia's, not Putin's. Okay, you get tired, man. You get really tired. Right? Right. All right. Here we go. Here we go into a very dark dystopia. Can you feel it? Can you see it? It's getting darker. We have a responsibility to maintain and uplift humanity. Each of us has that responsibility. So we have to, we really have to, bring our best self to life every day, no matter how difficult, no matter how tired we are. And we need to support one another, and we do that by behaving consistently, by living honestly and speaking honestly. We do that by establishing ourselves as trustworthy human beings, and we need to help those in need in our communities. Yes, that is what I absolutely believe. You can believe all you want, but if we're not doing that, then man, are we still so a part of the darkness. So, on that note, I thank you all for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow night. Be safe out there. Be safe. Okay? Ugh, God, look at this frequency blasting through this. Right here. Hasn't moved in the 2 hours from the border of Nebraska and Iowa. But that does not look good. Okay. The tornadoes, it looks like those warnings have expired. I just hope that there hasn't been the kind of severe weather that causes damage without tornadoes, but let us. Active severe warnings for Iowa, Minnesota, North Dakota, Nebraska, New Mexico, Texas, and good. All the tornado warnings have expired. That's good. Severe weather in Texas, and we don't see anything happening right now. Oh, but we all know they can bring it on. And it looks like the nanobot activation that was pushed to the west, they have died out, which is good. Georgia, southwest Georgia has severe weather going on. Be careful, everybody. Be safe. Be prepared. And this storm, this blob of manufactured weather, has moved down a wee bit south, but it's still Miami, and the Keys are getting it. So, yeah. Do what you can to help those in need. And on that note, I say good night and good luck. Hope to see you tomorrow night. Ciao.